welcome to this episode of the Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Mignell. This is part of my 29 Days of Magic series where I interview 29 phenomenal Black women over the course of 29 days for Black History Month. And today I am super excited to have the wonderful Tiffany Hardin, who's the CEO of the Gild Creative Group and Represent. She's got an incredible story and I can't wait for y'all to dive on in. Hey, Tiffany.
Hey, thank you for my introduction. I'm really happy to be here.
I'm so glad to have you here. I was like, Tiffany, come on, show. So I'm going to dive right in. First question. What was your all-time favorite job?
Ooh, I think my all-time favorite job is the job that I have now because I'm the boss. But I think if we were to go back into time, my first job ever was in a little town called Neenah, Wisconsin. That's where I went to high school. And it was I was one of the workers at Sue Ann's Bagels. So your girl was doing making lattes and preparing, lox and cream cheese on a sesame bagel for somebody in Wisconsin at one point in time in my high school years.
How are bagels in Wisconsin? Because remember, I'm a New Yorker, so
I will tell you, it's so funny because obviously working there, I had all the bagels, but we had fun ones too. We had like Oreo, and we had like Oreo cream cheese, and like we had like all different types of bagel flavors that would like come in and out. And so to me, it was delicioso because I didn't know any different. And I felt like when I left Sue Ann's Bagels, and would want to get a bagel somewhere else, like they never had the flavors that I wanted. So I feel like it left a little bit of a little hole in my heart. So I never really ate bagels the same after that.
understandable. And
Also,
so,
I
did you
can be
actually make the?
really,
Go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, also, I was really a bit of a snob sometimes when my coffee wasn't made right because we also had to make coffee. And I would be like, oh, they didn't make my latte the way I wanted it to. So I've been really like, I think it just kind of turned me into a little bit of a snob around certain things.
That's a good thing. It's called you have a discerning palate. That's all. A discerning
Mm-hmm.
palate. That's all there is to it. All right, so we go from making amazing bagels and bagels and lox, which is amazing because I'm like, okay, right, to being having a chat with me right now. What was that
Yeah.
journey like? How did this all happen?
So, funny enough, growing up, I moved around a lot. Most of my childhood was in a little town called Coppell, Texas, which is basically North Dallas. And so when I moved to Wisconsin, when my family moved to Wisconsin, that put me in the Midwest, which as a Southern girl, I was like, where am I? What is snow? What is this? But at the time, I was, one of those theater kids and was in show choir and singing and dancing. And I knew I wanted to stay in that, energy. And because we were in the Midwest, when I was looking for a school to go to college in that wasn't just like a music school that was, a conservatory teaching you music. I really wanted the music business side of things. And the closest school to me was Columbia College Chicago. And they had a music business program. They had a focus. I was able to focus on talent management. Arts, entertainment, media management was my major, which is like squarely on the nose of what I still do today. And so when I went to college in Chicago from this little town in Neenah, Wisconsin, it really just opened up for me. Like the aperture just opened up for me in terms of diversity and, you know, the industry, the music business industry, and learning very quickly what it means to build community in another new city, in a bigger new city. And it was so for me. I fell so in love with that when I was doing these internships, I got to meet someone who I still keep very close to my heart. His name is John Monopoly. He introduced me to Mona Scott Young, who was the first job I had and was the reason why I moved from Chicago to New York City to be her assistant at Violator, where she was the president at the time. And so that was I mean, I left in the middle of my senior year. That was like a baptism by fire, like real quick. You're gonna
Go.
learn today. Like, you're gonna learn
Yeah.
today. And
Just go.
so, like, girl, and it's funny thinking about it now because, like, at the time when we negotiate my salary, I was like, oh yeah, 25 grand, yeah, that's fine. Girl, I made 25 grand yesterday. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it was like, I'll do anything. And then it was like looking, and it was so much energy and so much hunger and so much work. But then, when my time with her came to an end, I was introduced to Steve Stout in translation. And that was such a interesting thing because I did not spend my young career, my early career in that marketing advertising world. I knew nothing about it. And I just knew culture and I knew people. And at the same time, this cultural zeitgeist was happening around, how we listen to music, how we engage with one another with social, and then at the same time, how we even talked to one another because the iPhone just came out in 2011. So, like, there were so many things happening at the same time that I was very interested in. And in the advertising business, they were trying to figure out how can they use social as a means to propagate an idea or a message. And by the time I went to go work for translation, I kind of was like, oh, let's Target wants to work with Black style, and that's one of their initiatives. Okay, well, I mean, I know June Ambrose, or I know, another stylist, like, use them. You don't have to use Jay-Z. You could use the people that are making it happen. You could use the actual cultural influencers that are making it happen. And so for me, it was such a like aha moment to understand, like, how does 1 + 1 equal 2? And then eventually that energy turned into me going from Steve's office to the strategy department, working in social strategy and what we then called distribution and partnerships, which really meant influencer marketing. and
Yes. Yeah.
and then I realized, oh, okay, like I can do this I wanted to move faster than the agency would let me. And I realized, well, I could do this for anybody. I don't have to stay here. So the entrepreneurship bug started to get into me. And I always knew I was
In
going to
your
be an
ear.
entrepreneur. It was in my ear. I was like, I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur, but I just, didn't know when. And, when I was a young person at translation, I had started my company, but I didn't actually leave until like, I think I was like 27 when I left. And started freelancing and doing solopreneuring for other agencies and working on some really awesome projects with Airbnb and Microsoft for agencies like Civic and Mother and some others. And then um, I went in house at WeWork for a couple years. That started as a consultancy and then went in house. And it was during the first term of Homeboy, the man who shall not be named.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, you know what? Let me take this job because I don't know what he about to do, and I don't trust it. And it was the thing that helped me go around the world. And it was the first, I would say, corporate job that I ever had. That's when I really learned, like, oh, this is what all my friends were talking about with microaggressions and this type of like stress. I was like, oh, these folks trying to burn me out. And I was like, I was shook. And I got my tail up on that there, right on time, actually, because I remember telling the young people when I was working there, I was like, oh, we're spending how much on these events that we're doing every month? Like, you really, like, just get your ducks in a row because this isn't going to last. Like, and when I left, maybe like 3-4 months later, like the department was gone. So, God really has been looking out for me. And, I'm going to bring us home now. And just the last little sprint was, and I'm like kind of pushing through all this in a fast pace, but the last little sprint was me actually working when I was working for myself again. I ended up moving to Nashville, Tennessee from New York, really because I had this like God download that said move to Nashville. And my parents were living, well, they had built a home in Lebanon, Tennessee, which is like 40 minutes outside of Nashville. But I really had no connection here, had no other anything. And so I was like, cool, I'm going to move to LA. And I was like, nah. And so I was like, you know what? I'll stay with my folks, stack my chips, and then I'll move to LA, at the top of 2020. And I never left. So I ended up moving to Nashville like the end of the year in 2019. I never left, and I'm so grateful that I didn't because I had a family tragedy that year in 2020 with my mom passing unexpectedly, and it was meant for me to be with her that year and having all of this wonderful time, and then being there for my family and my dad while we were going through this like period of grief. And then I sat and I was like, you know what? Like, I love Nashville. And I was like, this is a town that has so much like I like to say I'm a culture A&R. It's like I can feel when the thing is bubbling, where it's like there's culture here. There's I think the Black creative class was growing here, and it is not only, Broadway, which is basically our Times Square. It's not just honky tonks and whatever. The brand of country. It's like it's not only that. And I decided to stay, and it's part of my mission here to make sure that people really take the Southeast and Nashville seriously as a place where creators can be and have affordable living and also like really grow their business here. My entire career has been around, being a creator advocate, but also helping brands understand how they can be leveraging creator powered storytelling to sell their products and to get messages out there and really build and strengthen consumer and community relationship. And I think they really need to start paying attention to Nashville. I think if I'm here, something's happening here. That's for sure.
Uh-huh.
But that is really from Sue Ann's Bagels to how we on this conversation today. That gives you the long tail
I love
version.
it. I love how you, again, are talking about how awesome all this has been, but forgetting how fabulous you are, my darling. Because, like, it takes all manner of fabulosity to figure out how to be from one place to another, to overcome tragedy, and still have your head high, to be in the midst of one of the craziest startups and come out with your brain cells still intact,
Truly.
and not be worse for wear. I think it's
Mhm.
just it's a testament to our resiliency, but also our strength. And I'm sure you learned a lot
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
damn.
Fabulosity is one of my favorite new words now. Thank you.
Listen, I come with a dictionary full of foolishness. Like, these are my words. Feel free to steal. But yeah, I mean, I love the blend of the story of how it all weaves together, and I think that's the magic that we show off in 29 Days of Magic, because I don't think folks realize that like a chore can go from left, right, center, up, down, right, and it's cool. Like, that is totally fine along the way, because you just every single step you don't lose, you learn. And even if it's like, all right, I got to bounce from this interesting situation, let me go to, but also betting on yourself, which is what you've obviously beautifully done time and time again. So
Mhm.
as you're now, chilling in Nashville, it feels like you're almost like Outcast when he said the South has something to say. It sounds like you're saying the Southeast has something to say.
Mhm. Mhm. And it's talking. It's really interesting because I live in a basically a blue dot in a red state, and and you can and it is not New York City. We have transplants here from LA and New York and Chicago and all this, but like and it contributes to like the shift, um but also I'm like I've seen a lot of my friends that have moved here like move right on out, like not even a year or 2 years later. um I think because I'm a southerner, like, and I like my folks are from Mississippi and South Carolina, like I just moving down here wasn't like, oh my god, moving from Texas to Wisconsin, that was oh my god, that was culture shock.
I
Moving
mean,
back
were
in.
there more than four black people? Were there
Yeah.
more than four black people? No, okay.
Well, well, let me say this because the four would have been my family because that was the four of us. So there might have been a good eight. There were some others.
Oh, God damn.
Oh man, that's good.
I mean, yeah. So as you, I love the phrase culture A&R because I think if I were to describe you, that's literally what I would say. Like, oh yeah, Tiffany sort of is like this, sees the world and moves before the puck is going. What are you seeing right now? Like, the world's interesting. Let's just say that right
Mm-hmm.
now. What are you seeing as what's next?
Um, I think I'm really curious to see how people are kind of going to get forced into their humanity, whether they like it or not. The things that like terrify me are some of the stuff that we've probably seen at CES, with just like the way that robotics is moving, and people basically want to get into Jetsons land, and I don't think that's healthy for us. I don't think it's healthy for people to decide like, oh, well, you know what, I don't like the world anyway, so I'll just be with me and my robots. It's not healthy for you because we're not actually wired that way. We are wired for connection, and so I'm really curious for, just not even on a business tip, just how people have to make that conscious decision to be connected and to have community. Recently in Tennessee, we had this ice storm, and people have been without power for like days on end, right? And there would be people that would be like, I know I have an elderly neighbor. Let me go see how they're doing. Like, and just walk over there and be like, are you okay? Like, do you need warmth? What do you need? And I think we don't have to have tragedies or circumstances for that to happen, but I think it forces people to do that. And I think we're going to be in a scenario where people are going to be forced to contend with their humanity and their ability to connect and their ability to actually go deep in those connections, because the things that are on the line are not just like relationships. It's the fact that we are in an epidemic of loneliness. We're not having babies. Like, we're not, procreating at the same rates. And so like those things affect us at a high rate. And it, because it's so small, I think people don't really feel it, but like at a macro level, it's being felt. So that's not necessarily like the fun answer, but I do think people are going to start to have more like, you know come over parties, like, come over, let's do the book club, let's look at each other, let's talk to one another. you know I think if airlines were smart, they would do a special where it's like, go see your friend. We're doing $100 flights, go see your friend. Because people need, we're all in these places where it's like, yo, my best friends don't live here. Like, I haven't seen them in a minute. You need that. Like, so go drop in on your friend, go do the drive by, go unannounced and see what happens. Do it for the plot twist. you know, like,
Like the threads I sent you this morning. Just go fly out, see what happens.
yeah,
Honestly, I absolutely love this. I really do love this. And I think you're so right because, like, we forget that, like, we used to just be able to, like, walk next door and see our friend, or our friend lived 5 minutes away, so you could ride your bike and go meet up with your
Mhm.
friend. And then as we get older, we all move away. We're different, we're 2 hours away by car, or you have to fly because they're across the country. And you're right. If a brand basically said, we're going to give you the girls' trip, like, here's like 4 tickets. You could all meet in Vegas, or you could all meet in New Orleans, and
Yeah.
just do it because it's necessary. Like, I think that's the thing, we're seeing in communities that, like, if you can just get people together, good things happen.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't have to be heavy duty. It doesn't have to be super splurgy. It can be a Zoom call. It
No,
can
it can be
be
a
literally Chat.
I'm
Just
telling you,
chat.
it's literally a group chat. Like it's literally like I have a desire right now. My friend just moved, and I want, I need to go to Baltimore and go see her. I want to see her new house and how she's living. Like, how important is it? Like, I don't know if you've ever done the thing where you moved into a new place and your friend visits and you're like, and this is my kitchen and this is my room. It's like when we were kids,
Yes, because you
you're
do it.
like, come, do you want to see my room? Like, that was a thing,
Look, how did I arrange my teddy bears? Like, this was the thing that I did. Like, yes, we so do. We
We
so
so
do. And
did.
I really do love that. And I think if someone does this campaign, we're suing them because this is going online. And we're like, steal, tell from black women, we're going to come for you. I have good lawyers. Because this is actually a great idea. It
Right.
really is. Because I do think that we're seeing it now. There was a really great documentary. I went to go look it up to make sure I got the name right. It's called Join or Die. And it came out, I want to say last summer. And it was about the breakdown of communities and how it cracks society. And there's like 200 years of historical evidence of this happening. So basically, this preeminent social scientist looked at this community in Italy, and basically these five little towns, and basically they all had like effectively bocce groups. I'm sort of paraphrasing, but say they had like a bocce group, a little card playing group, and like a fishing group.
Mm,
And the societies that killed all those because they were all making so much money they didn't need to like go out and hang out with these people anymore. They could just like be in their rich houses. All the communities that kept those like little groups all survived when like a revolution came, and all
mm,
those ones that sort of like became more insular all all collapsed. So cut to 1990, like seven or so, Bill Clinton, reading about this preeminent study, hires the same guy and is like, hey, take a look at America and be like, are we gonna have the same problem? And effectively the guy's like, yeah, in like 30 years. It was around 1997. Do the math.
mm,
And it was basically the lack of like, those like again, bowling clubs, those leagues, the
mhm, mhm,
YMCA's, like the Masons, the Kiwanis
mm,
clubs,
mm,
all of those again, people made more money and so they didn't need the community anymore. And so they just became more isolated. And when they become more isolated, the communities fall apart and the society basically is on like a 3-to-1 timing for and it'll start to collapse. And so the reason why this was really fascinating was because basically they were now doing it in that current time. And you're like, yeah, see, he was right.
There we
But
go.
also like here's how we fix this. And so they were showing how like these like really interesting interracial motorcycle clubs in like a place that you would never find interracial motorcycle clubs had propped up. There was like a bicycle group and like again, same really cross cultural, cross generational, cross gender, cross income level group of bicyclists who all kind of came together. It was like an art one. And it showed that basically when you have something to join, you are more apt to be more vulnerable, to be more open, and to have the strength to like actually step forward and maybe try something new because you know that you have a community that's like, hey, we're gonna cheer you on, like we're gonna open a new store, we're all gonna be your first customers, because you belong to something. So I think you're so, and like that came out I think last year, but I think it really impacts how we find each other, if, what we can do, which is not a ton, doesn't have to be again. I think the idea that it has to be this girl's trip to Dubai. No, it's like y'all want to be at the mall. Like, y'all want to go see a movie together. Like y'all want to go watch Sinners again. Like,
Mhm, mhm.
like
Exactly that.
it can be as little as simple as that. And when we do that, we end up with so much more.
Oh yeah, I think there's a thing. So when we talk about like building communities, part of I think Mighty Network says this, but like part of the best practices of building great communities is shared outcomes, not necessarily identity. And so the idea that, if like you and your people, even if it's like a knitting club or whatever, the outcome that you want to share might be, you know, building strong relationships, reading X number of books a month, or like being able to be consistent. Like literally right now, out of nowhere, I decided like last week, I was like, I don't know, I was just like, can I do a plank? I was like, I'm gonna do a 1 minute plank. And then I did it. And I was like, I think I'm just gonna do a 1 minute plank every morning and let that be a part of my thing, like a part of my just daily ritual. And I think I posted it on Threads, and a girlfriend of mine, she was like, "Oh, I'll do that with you." And we don't even talk. Like we just, and this is like a girl who a woman who I really appreciate and love. But we're not like best friends or anything like. And we'll just text each other and just say done, like just accountability, just to be like done, and that's it.
And
and
keep going.
and we're done. And like for the it's so interesting too, because like sometimes I'll be in the bed like just lying there, dreaming, and I'll get a done text. I'm like, oh girl, get your ass up and go do your plank. It's just that level of like, it's not like no one's forcing me to do anything, but it's like the promise that I kept to myself, and the fact that somebody was like, you know what, that's a good idea. And now we are doing it together, and we're going into the second week of doing this. But like for me, my goal, I didn't really have a goal. I was just like, this is just good for the body, and I should make sure to just work on my core strength, you know. And now I do it, and I think it's really powerful to have rituals that mean something to you first, and finding people who align with that and say like, oh, you know what, me too. This matters to me, and this is how I do it, and like building off of that.
It's true. And it doesn't have to be humongous. It can just be plank sisters. Like that's it.
Like sisters.
Like that's it. It can literally be it.
I'm gonna
But
try
that's the
that.
thing. Again, you can steal all my lines, Tiffany. It's hilarious. Like, no copyright with you. Anybody else? Mad. You happily take them. But yeah, I mean that's it. Really is so important that folks realize this, and I think it's funny. Like I think this has come up. I think in every episode of this season of 29 Days, where someone mentions something about the importance of community. So guess what? It's a common thing.
Mhm.
Like we are all seeing the through line.
Yep.
But how you approach it and how you come around to it is so important. And I think it's also helpful for like the younger generation to see this. So like and kind of thinking about everything you've done, what do you think the advice you'd give to your 18-year-old self?
Mm. I think the advice I would give to my 18-year-old self, that's very specific. So you're just leaving high school, just getting into college, like, you know, um, outside of like the typical like girl save some money, try and do something, outside of all that stuff, I think it would be like work on self-trust. Like work on your intuition. If you feel it, it's true. Like, and it doesn't have to be you don't always have to uh search for a validating factor. It's just, if something ain't right, if something doesn't feel like right, like trust your intuition, trust your gut, trust that, because you build confidence because of self-trust. And I think if I knew that more like directly as an 18-year-old, I probably would have avoided, or not even avoided, but at least like would have um not gone back in situations, or back and forth, and do mental gymnastics on something, because I wanted to people please, or wanted to make sure everybody was okay. I would have just trusted the thing, and then been like, I'm good here, and like kept it pushing. I think that's one thing I probably would have told myself back in the day, would be like, it's okay to operate in self trust. You know, um, that'd be a main thing, and I think the other thing would probably be to just allow myself to um, like take the creative risks, um, and allow myself to be seen in that way. I think sometimes when you're a creative person, or what I ended up being as a creative entrepreneur, but when you're a creative young person and you're like, oh, that's not really guaranteed to be just the creative. I have to like validate everything with all of my receipts and all of the things. And, you know, I think I over indexed on this side a little bit. And, you know, the creative side was like, hey girl, don't forget about me.
It's okay over here. It's
Like,
okay.
and because the other side felt like security, and you know, I can get paid,
Practical.
practical
Yes.
and all that
Yeah.
stuff. um but I think it's such a validating point, especially now, the way like we're on Riverside right now and we're able to have this conversation. Like, that did not exist, you know. Like, it's so much easier to be a creative person today than it used to be. And that's just with every generation. As technology advances, the creatives are able to take advantage and get their ideas out and be expressive in that way. And I think the thing I would just tell myself when I was younger would be, um, like, don't ever suppress that ever. Like, if you want to be the host of the thing, be the host, pick up the mic, use your voice, be seen, do the thing. Like, I think I used to like not allow myself too much to like step into that, because I didn't want anybody to think that I also couldn't do the work part, you know, where it was like, no, no, I can work too though. You know, it's like I
Yeah,
want
I
to
have to validate the creativity with all this good practicality over here. And it's like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly. I know better now. But back then I was like, nobody's gonna take me seriously if I was just the creative, you know? And I think now what we're seeing even in the creator economy is, which I'm in the business of, is that it's all relevant. You know, it's all relevant. And what Gen Z has taught us, even Gen Alpha has been teaching us, is that there are no rules. Like, if there's a box, it's because you put yourself in that box. Like, do what you want to do. Period.
It's never been easier. I mean, well, yeah, we're literally on Riverside right now. You having this, you're in Tennessee, I'm in New York, and here you go. We've got video. Like, I didn't have to, everything is wireless. I have nothing plugged into my laptop. So it's just like, we're just having this conversation. This
Yeah.
did not exist when this podcast started back in 2016, in the fall of 2016.
Yeah.
And like what's happened in that amount of time is kind of incredible, but also goes to the fact that like the barriers to be great have come down immensely.
Mm-hmm.
uh, and what that means and what's possible, is just so much easier now. And what great looks like can be 1,000 different things. And I think people are allowing ourselves to sort of understand that, like, it can be literally just your Tuesday being yourself. It's totally fine.
A hundred
As
percent.
opposed to being like, I have to be this. I have to be this. Because you don't know who's watching. Like, you literally don't know. And what they will say, what they will hear, and be like, oh my God, you talk to her.
Yeah. I have a friend literally that last Sunday told me they were on another friend's podcast, and someone from an agency, like a talent agency, heard her speak and was just like, actually, would you want to come, you know, lead this team? And it was like fascinating. Like, you don't know. And I think, to your point, like, the barriers for your excellence and for your greatness, um like, a barrier and a bar are different. The bar is still high. The barrier is like those excuses, like, I don't have a camera, I ain't gotta do. Baby, if you don't get to getting on whatever it is. And I will tell you this, like, I think everybody gets so enamored with this story because someone like a Tyler Perry, who started with these kind of ragtag plays, you know, he built his audience and now he has a whole like studio lots in Atlanta. It's like he has that thing on lock because he knew it was bigger than the play. And so it's the idea of like, you know, it's not necessarily rags to riches, but like just removing the even the mental barriers, the mental blocks. Because if you want it, you got to go get it. Beyonce told us that she see it, she want it. Dream it, I work
Yes.
hard, I grind till I get it. But
All of a sudden, I'm basically back at Cowboy Carter in Paris again. See?
ooh,
Yeah, but you're so right. I mean, I think that's it, and I think that's the point. And I get it. That's why I love doing 29 days because I think shoving it in people's face for 29 straight days that like it can be anything, and it doesn't have to actually be Beyonce. Like your greatness is your greatness. Period. Full stop. And if you keep seeing it, you will believe it. And
Mhm.
I'm always honored to be able to do this because like sometimes I forget. 'Cause I'm like, oh man, that's a lot. And then I like hear your stories and I'm like, yay, okay, I'm ready to go.
Because that's what people
um,
do for one
and
another. We are here to reflect our greatness back to one another and be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna work on that because I see it's possible. And like the fact that you're a possibility maker, like your existence is that, you know?
absolutely thinking about that as like the possibilities that we can make. What's one thing you think you're really grateful for right now?
Mm, I'm really grateful for my family, and the closeness that we have. Super grateful for that. And I'm grateful for being seen and people being like, you know what, I want to connect you to somebody like that. I don't take as a connector, I don't take that for granted because people considering me for opportunities or to just to meet other people that they think could elevate what I'm doing or who I am or just a vibration or an energy or a need. I think that's such a powerful, uh, honestly, spiritual kind of thing that I think connectors are just really, really beautiful because you don't know who you're going to meet in the next person that will introduce you to, what could be a life-changing relationship, you know? So I'm really grateful for those people in my life.
Awesome. It's so true because you never know. Literally never know. The universe is providing in all manner of wackadoodle ways. You're just like, yep, let me just accept this ride. And
Yeah.
last question for you: do you have a give and or an ask of the audience? And so again, that can be anything that is like from a book you've read or just a great piece of advice.
Mm. Well, um, okay, I have one. I do have a give and ask. Okay, it actually happens to be sitting right here.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm glad you mentioned a book. So, one of the things that I have worked on over the years is I think when you're a high performer and you're like, you have big ideas and, you have no patience with yourself, it can be really hard
What do
to
you mean? What do you mean?
it can be really hard to find compassion for yourself. And I've obviously heard the word compassion so many times, but I like don't think I had like put it into practice for myself. And because I, really hard on myself. But this book, it's called the Mindful Self Compassion Workbook, and it's by Kristen Neff and Christopher Germer. And it's a proven way to accept yourself and build inner strength and thrive. And why I love this book is because it's literally like a workbook. Like it's true. Like you see, I have my little like stuff in here, but like it is a workbook. And so for those of you who are thinking about, why, like, if you have a block or anything around like, why am I always so doggone hard on myself? And you've even gotten that feedback from your friends. This is a really awesome workbook to move through. And it's not like this, and I'm woo woo, but I'm telling you, it ain't woo woo. Like it is very practical. It's a practical workbook to move through, to help you realize like, oh, actually, this is um, this is something that supports my growth, supports me being a high performer and a high achiever. I need that so that I have a growth mindset. It's been really, really effective for me. That's my give. And then my what I need is um, so one of my companies represent. We are a platform that helps creators build their business education and their business acumen rather, through um, expert marketplace where they can ex creators can connect to experts, community, and tech enabled tools. And so one of the things that we present in our program is a fellowship. So the applications are open now. So if you're a creator who's like, I'm looking to be a six-figure creator and I need help understanding the business that I'm in, this is for you. A lot of creators have built audiences and not really lean into the business acumen piece. And so in the fellowship, it's an 8-week virtual fellowship. And we have info sessions that happen every other week. The applications end on March 27th. So if you're interested, go to onrepresent.com/creator fellowship, or you just go to onrepresent.com and just navigate from there. And you'll see the application, but it's really dope because you're in a small cohort. You're learning from experts in the industry on both like from platforms to managers to agents to legal operations, finance. I really built this because I have a heart for folks that are looking to become those six-figure creators and they're maybe close or they're not represented yet or whatever, and they still need a little bit more expertise in understanding how they can grow from just having an audience to monetizing that audience and building a business out of this work. So if you go to onrepresent.com, you will find everything that you need to know about the fellowship. There is a baseline where we want 10,000 followers plus. And if you have an email list, it's at least 2,000 email subscribers, but it's platform agnostic. We don't care what kind of creator you are. We don't care what your niche is. We just want to make sure that you have the ability to get the education that you need so you can become a six-figure creator. So that's my what I need from y'all is to go to the website, see if you qualify. If you don't, you probably got a friend that does, and apply for the fellowship. It's free for you because we have brand sponsorships that are going to subsidize it. And that's
Fabulous.
what I
Oh my
need.
goodness. Okay, we will. Then we will help with special needs. We'll put all those details in the show notes so folks can apply for fellowship. So yeah, if you've got 10,000 followers or more, hit up Tiffany on represent.com, and get because honestly, like, again, it's not that it's far away. It is right here. You can get these things. And I hope that folks have listened to this episode and hear it like, yeah, it's all possible. It just
Yeah.
needs some refining and like some people who've been there before can I give you that great advice of what Tiffany is a fountain of. So please apply for that as well. Lady Tiffany, it has been a delight to have you on the show.
Yeah.
You are a fountain of great wisdom, and it's always hilarious chatting with you. And so, thank you for being part of 29 Days of Magic.
Thank you for having me. This was such a delight. It was really fun to talk. And it was different too. I
Awesome.
really loved that.
Well, we're different here. Cool. And that is our show.